What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to Dungeon Defenders Awakened. With so many new folks coming to DDA with the Xbox launch and update 1.3, I've been getting asked quite a bit about the game toggles, and more specifically, WTF is hardcore. Now, all of the different game modes give you a general description of what they do right here on the mode select screen. The campaign, survival, challenges, mixed mode, pure strategy, etc. However, the description for hardcore and rifted is a little bit, not necessarily misleading, but it just requires more information. Now, rifted, although it is listed in the different difficulties as just a toggle, this actually changes the experience entirely. Rift mode is kind of the end game you're going to get to eventually. However, you don't have to start off in Rift mode, although you can right out of the gates. I think most people would agree that it's best to start Rifted mode either in Nightmare or in Massacre once you've gotten through some of the absolute base of the game. Now, what about hardcore? Hardcore respawning is disabled in combat phase, increases the quality of dropped items. Now, what exactly does this mean? Well, hardcore does some other things. Clearly, you're not going to be able to respawn in the combat phase. So if you do die during a wave, your build is going to have to survive the wave until you get back to the build phase before you respawn. Additionally, the build timers in the game are tied to the hardcore toggle. So if you don't have hardcore toggled on, you're not going to have the build timers. So if you don't like build timers, don't use hardcore. And then on top of that as well, the mana that's on the ground will disappear when you change game phases. Which means if you have hardcore toggled on, you're going to want to run around the map and collect all the mana before you hit combat phase again, because if you hit combat phase, all of that mana on the ground is going to disappear. Now, with these increased difficulty toggles, what do you get out of the deal? Well, hardcore is a straight loot multiplier. It says right on there, increases the quality of dropped items. Now, this is based on what difficulty you're playing, and it is a ceiling, not a floor, meaning it increases the potential of that map. So if an item, for example, could drop between 1 and 100 on the map, when you enable hardcore, that map can drop items between 1 and, say, 120, or whatever difficulty you're playing in. Now, as I mentioned, this multiplier is dependent on what mode you're playing in. So, starting off on easy, medium, and hard, if you have hardcore enabled, it's going to allow 15% greater loot ceiling. So the potential of the loot could be 15% higher. Now remember, RNG is still a factor. It doesn't guarantee you're going to get that loot, but it is possible for that higher quality loot to be there. 15% on easy, medium, and hard. Insane mode is going to offer a 20% loot multiplier. So if you're doing an insane map and it has the potential of dropping an item quality from, say, 1 to 100, when you toggle on hardcore, it's going to raise that potential to the item quality from being 1 to 120, as you're going to get a 20% bonus loot potential on that map. And then last but not least, we have Nightmare and Massacre. Nightmare and Massacre is going to be a 25% modifier, and this is going to be the route you're going to want to play most of Massacre through when you're looking for loot. Now, by all means, it's easier to complete the maps if you're just trying to play through the campaign if you lead hardcore off. However, when you're hard grinding the loot or when you're doing survival mode, always have hardcore on. As you know, you put all that time into the map, make sure you've got the best potential stuff that can be there. Now remember, although hardcore is a toggle in pure strategy mode, remember the basics of hardcore is it's not going to allow you to respawn in combat phase. Well, in pure strategy mode, you can't die in combat phase, shy of jumping off a map. So hardcore doesn't do anything in pure strategy mode. So it is listed there still on the UI, however, is going to have no effect on your loot quality if you're playing a pure strategy. So hopefully that helps clear up the hardcore toggle and exactly what it does in Dungeon Defenders Awakened. If you have any additional questions about the hardcore toggle or would like to add any additional information, make sure you let me and all of the community know down in the comments below by sharing your insight. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time around. Take it easy.